Former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair opened the floodgates for mass uncontrollable immigration, according to newly released official files. EXPM. Tony Blair today stands accused of willfully forcing mass immigration on Britain. Tony Blair opened Britain's borders to Eastern Europe despite migrant influx warnings from ministers. The move led to net migration reaching more than 200,000 a year as governments struggled to control numbers, with the figure hitting a high of 906,000 in the year ending June 2023. Tony Blair's government pressed ahead with plans to grant unrestricted access to the UK for workers from Eastern Europe, despite mounting concerns among senior ministers. Papers released at the National Archives in Kew, West London, have revealed how Deputy Prime Minister John Prescott and Foreign Secretary Jack Straw both urged delay, warning of a surge in immigration unless some controls were put in place. The move was widely seen as having contributed to a major increase in immigration in the years that followed. With successive governments struggling to get the numbers back under control, it is feared to have helped fuel the anti-EU sentiment, which culminated in the 2016 Brexit vote. The Home Office had predicted the impact of allowing free access to the UK jobs market for 8 states, which joined the EU in 2004, would lead to a net increase of no more than 13,000 workers a year. Then Home Secretary David Blunkett argued that the economy needed the flexibility and productivity of migrant labor if it was to continue to prosper. However, within weeks, the files show the numbers arriving were far outstripping the estimates, with one official saying they faced an elephant trap and advising ministers to err on the side of publishing less rather than more when it came to releasing official data. Mr. Straw later admitted that the failure to put in place any transitional controls, as nearly all other EU nations had done, had been a spectacular mistake, which had far-reaching consequences. It was widely seen as having contributed to a major increase in immigration in the years that followed, with net migration rising to more than 200,000 a year, with cheap labor from Poland and other new member states blamed for undercutting local workers. When the Labour government announced in 2002 that immigrants from the A8 accession nations would be free to come to Britain to work from the moment they joined on May 1, 2004, it had been expected that other member states would follow suit. However, with less than 3 months to go, Mr. Straw wrote to Mr. Blair calling for a rethink, warning that the situation had changed dramatically in the intervening period. If we do not think this through now, I believe we could be faced with a very difficult situation in early May, and could then be forced to take urgent action to suspend the concessions, in the least propitious of circumstances, he wrote. In particular, while some EU member states were never going to give this concession, other EU member states who we thought would be joining us have begun to peel away. France, Germany, Spain, Austria, Belgium, Finland, Greece, and Luxembourg are all imposing transition periods of at least 2 years. Portugal is likely to follow suit. Italy is undecided. Sweden, Netherlands, and Denmark, who were with us, have all announced the introduction of work and/or residence permits for those wishing to avail themselves of the concession. He was backed by Mr. Prescott, who said he was extremely concerned about the pressures on social housing from a sudden influx of new migrants. However, Mr. Blunkett, backed by Work and Pensions Secretary Andrew Smith and the Treasury, insisted they should stick with the plan. On purely technical economic grounds, there can be no doubt that our present policy is the right one, he wrote. Our economy needs the flexibility and productivity of migrant labor, which is a key part of our continued economic success. He said that they would be tightening the regulations to stop migrants traveling to the UK simply to claim benefits, but rejected calls for a work permit scheme as not only expensive and bureaucratic, but I believe ineffective. I fear we would only be storing up more deep-seated political difficulties in the very near future and closer to the general election. The ineffectiveness of any scheme would be quickly exposed, he said. Mr. Blair, it appeared, was beginning to have his doubts, questioning whether tougher benefit rules on their own would be enough. Are we sure this does the trick? I don't want to have to return to it, he said in a handwritten note. I'm not sure we shouldn't have a work permits approach also. Why not? It gives us an extra string to our bow. A warning of a possible influx of Roma people from Poland, the Czech Republic, and Slovakia seeking to claim UK benefits only added to his concerns about the need to send out a deterrent message. We must do the toughest package on benefits possible and announce this plus power to revoke visa plan and message to Romas. He scrawled in a handwritten aside. Following the accession of the Eight, the government sought to maintain all was going to plan, with Mr. Blunkett stating, the predicted dramatic increase of new arrivals has not materialized. By July 2004, senior Downing Street advisor Kate Gross revealed the true scale of migration in an internal memo. She wrote that while only 9,000 new arrivals had come since May 1st, at the current rate of increase, this number will exceed the 13,000 prediction by the end of August. If applications continued at that pace, she warned numbers would reach 50 to 60,000 new arrivals by May 2005. The policy was later described by Jack Straw as a spectacular mistake with far-reaching consequences. In conclusion, with these revelations, it can be said without any doubt that mass immigration was willfully forced upon the British people without anyone ever agreeing to it. Labour and the Tories have both been the architects of mass immigration and ignored any concerns along the way, as these new documents show. It is clear that the current immigration situation is a direct result of Tony's open border policy. Your perspective matters. Do you believe the UK would have been better had he paid attention to concerns raised by his minister? Do you hold Tony Blair accountable for the challenges Britain faces today due to the influx of migrants? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on similar stories. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters in these discussions. See you next time.